Well, in order to reform the system, one has to look at what gives who power in the system. And if the American people, and I think most conservatives and grassroots activists, feel that the elite in Washington, the lobbyists, the special interests, have too much power to shape our legislation and our government as they wish it, and frankly, too much power to help liberals enact their legislation as a trade to get what they want for their corporate welfare and their sort of cronyism. So to go at that head on, I think, is the way to do this. First, we have to eliminate the ability of lobbyists to give money politically. If you want to be a lobbyist, you want to register as a lobbyist, then you have to have either eliminated or severely reduced the amount of money that you can give to federal election committees, whether they be PACs, super PACs, individual candidates, parties, whatever it is. Now, as conservatives, we're generally against limiting people's ability to give money in an election. However, if you've chosen to become a lobbyist, if you've chosen to influence the process in that way, a paid lobbyist, not volunteer people, but if you've chosen to become that, then you have, in my view, foregone the right to be able to use money to influence the decisions of the legislatures you're lobbying. Similarly, those people who hire lobbyists, unions, corporations, and others, if you hire a lobbyist to get something special for you, then in that case, I believe you need to have your political capacities reduced. If we did that alone, that would reduce the power of the special interests in this country immensely. When I was a lobbyist, I raised millions a year for members of Congress and had incredible sway over them. Now, again, I believe that most of the things I was active in were good things, but there are plenty of lobbyists who are active in things that are not good things. And I think we see that the effect of that in the federal budget, and the fact that we have a multi-trillion-dollar deficit, and all the rest. So, number one is eliminate the ability to give money. Number two is to stop the revolving door. We have people who come to Congress, who serve as staff members in Congress, who are there for a few years and then come out and make a fortune of money using the influence that they've gained as an elected official or a public servant to enrich themselves. I believe that the country in general, not just conservatives, but liberals as well, are against this. The only people in favor of this are the people who are actually doing it. So reducing severely or curtailing completely the ability of congressmen to go through that revolving door and cash in, not just congressmen, by the way, also any other member of the government, to cash in on their public service, I think that's a very important step. There are other things that I think are vitally important. For example, term limits. Once we eliminate the ability of these people to raise money from special interests, we now have to take away their ability to get reelected constantly, 91% of the time, through incumbency. Give somebody 3 terms in the Congress, give them 2 terms in the Senate, but then they should go home. The country was not envisioned as a permanent government class, people like in the old countries in Europe who would permanently be rulers. That's not what our country was supposed to be, but that's in fact what it's become. Lobbyists love it, of course, because they don't want to have to go and buy congressmen time and again. They want to just buy somebody and stay with them for years. But that's not benefiting the American people. And finally, among the suggestions, there are others in the book, among the suggestions, I believe it's very important that we repeal the 17th Amendment to the Constitution. Now, I know that sounds bizarre in a world where we aren't likely to see any changes in our Constitution, but my book isn't necessarily about what is possible, not possible. My book is about what needs to be done. And what needs to be done is the 17th Amendment. The 17th Amendment is the amendment put forward by the progressive movement about 100 years ago in 1913. And what that did was remove the balance in our government between the power of the states and the power of the federal government. The U.S. Senate used to be a body comprised solely of people who were from the state legislatures. The state legislatures would send their representatives, and then as a body together, the Senate could veto encroachments on state power by the federal government. Once that was changed, and very purposely so, by the progressives, so-called, as they were at the early part of the 20th century, once that was changed, that started the federal land grab and federal power grab. So ideally, that needs to be reversed as well.